Happy Friday, East Tennessee. My name is David Aldridge, Chief Meteorologist of Captain Accurate Weather, coming to you by way of the Captain Accurate Weather Command Center. Happy Flag Day, by the way. Today is a special day, maybe to display the flag. Old Glory likes to be seen on the 14th of June. Yes, it's hard to believe we're already through the middle of the month, but I also have a special tie on today because we've got a big game tonight on ESPN. Of course, it's the one in Omaha. Our Vols taking on Florida State at 7 o'clock tonight, so maybe you'll wear some orange too. So you've got red, white, and blue colors to choose from, as well as, of course, the orange and white. If you're on the call, let me know. I'd love to say hi to you. We've got some interesting weather because we had a very hot day yesterday. We officially hit 89 degrees at McGee-Tyson, but 90 in Oak Ridge. So our heat wave, quote unquote, hasn't necessarily begun, because typically it takes 3 consecutive days at 90. But if you're in Anderson County, you could argue day 1 was yesterday. And if you're in Oak Ridge, day 2 will be today, because I think we'll head toward the lower 90s this afternoon. Visibility down to a mile in Jacksboro, so there could be some patches of fog where you see some gray areas, and also the Smokies. I don't want to leave that out, but it's a warm start. No doubt about that. 70 degrees right now at Knoxville, McGee-Tyson, 69 in Oak Ridge. When you start the day around 70, you know it's probably going to be a warm day unless there's some clouds and rain and all that expected, but that's not expected today. If we get any rain over the next day or two, maybe the Smokies. Father's Day, if you're camping, dear old dad, if dad's camping with you on Sunday, Father's Day, there may be a hit or miss isolated shower storm that converges there. Outside of that, it's just going to be sticky, it's going to be hazy, and it's going to be hot. Currently, Morristown, 66, 66 in Rockwood. I want to say good morning to you if you're on the call. I'm over here. I got some notes here. I mentioned it was 89 yesterday. Normal high and low, 86, 65. So if we head toward 92 today, which I suspect we'll do, we'll be about, 4, 5, 6 degrees above average today. 96 happens to be 96 from 1943, the record high. We also hit that 96 back on the 21st of 1921. 1921, 1943, the record high today from 96. And then 44 degrees was achieved back in 1985. Here's the number you really ought to take hold of. The last time we hit 90 or higher at McGee-Tyson was September 4th. And that, my friend, was 284 days ago. So if you're not used to this heat and humidity, you're not alone. Many of us have gone a long stretch of time now without hitting 90 degrees, but that will pass today. I think we'll definitely go toward that. By the way, as I check out some of the cool things I'm looking at here on my computer, let me see if I can grab, let's see here. Let's send this in, see if we can get this to come on the screen. There it is. Oh, we got a good morning. Fred says good morning. He's got 70 degrees in Maryville. Thank you, Fred. Love that. We can able to see that. And then let's see here if we can send this in. Let's see, Marilyn Bell says, what's causing all this rain in Florida? Wow, she says, over 20 plus inches of rain. There's been a slow-moving, no-name storm. We've been talking about that for the last several days. In fact, Hurricane Center has put a 20% chance that that could get a name as it slides off the coast of the Carolinas. We'll talk about that here coming up. And other notes that might be coming in, let me know if you have a comment. I like having now the ability to post some of these comments and show that what we can see here. To see if I can pop this on here. Let's see, cancel this. And maybe, just maybe as we go back to the maps, we'll be able to access some of the comments that you might have. I'd love to be able to see that. By the way, it's 66 in Newport. Currently 66 in Madisonville. Thank you for working with me as I've been playing with some of the technology I have before me. Dew points are sticky. Yeah, when they're in the mid-60s to start and it's 70, it's going to feel awfully humid, and that's going to be the case especially as we head into Father's Day, when it may feel like it's absolutely off the grid, off the chain as it might be. It's going to be very sticky going into Father's Day itself. The ultimate Doppler radar not showing any rain or any precipitation at this point. I say any precipitation because there is some snow developing in the upper plain states back toward Montana, which may surprise you in the middle of June that we could be having that type of situation in parts of the country. By the way, the ultimate Doppler radar presented by Marco's Pizza. If you're making lunch plans today, consider Marcos.com. We have local offices, local stores in Hardin Valley and Farragut, Maryville and Fountain City, Halls, Oak Ridge. They have a location in Middlebrook Pike and Ebenezer Road, and if you're within those areas, they would love to hear from you. Maybe a large pepperoni pizza might be something to consider for this evening if you're planning to order in. That's less than $10, and maybe for lunch, you might consider the new Pozzoli. The pepperoni and sausage is my favorite, but you might like the buffalo chicken or even the chicken bacon ranch. They are delicious, and they're very filling, kind of like a calzone, but even better in my view. Radar shows there are some showers in parts of Kentucky. That would be, it looks maybe northeast of Lexington right now. But there's also some activity back towards Springfield, east of Springfield, Missouri. Of course, Omaha looks quiet. They've got the big game tonight. They may have more smoke in the air, which we'll look at here momentarily, but there's more rain across New England, and you can see there's also more thunderstorms across parts of the far west. Here is what you may not be hearing much of, all the wildfire smoke. In addition to the rain that Marilyn mentioned about in Florida, what's been going on in parts of the Rockies and into maybe Arizona and New Mexico has been wildfire smoke. And if you follow the red arrows, you can see that where that wind is blowing this smoke would be headed up toward Nebraska and headed toward Omaha. So tonight's game might be 7 o'clock Eastern, but this is a future smoke, a vertically integrated smoke for the whole column of air. That's around 3:15 Eastern. So there will be an increase of haze at the very minimum in parts of Nebraska for this afternoon and tonight. Now, you say, well, that's not us because we're in Knoxville. But give it time, my friend. Come tomorrow morning, a lot of those wildfires you see there in yellow and red firing up across New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado does, in fact, drift in this direction. Look at all that. Suddenly shows up in Knoxville. What time is that? That's 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. You go, oh, man. You mean there's a connection? I love this because a lot of times people say, I don't care about the weather and fill in the state. I don't really care. I don't live there. Well, you know what? What happens over there can sometimes happen here. Case in point, we live in a very fragile atmosphere. Have you ever picked up an onion at the grocery store? How fragile is that outer skin? That's kind of like our atmosphere. It's very thin. Relatively comparable to the Earth itself. So when you have wildfires burning in New Mexico or Arizona, or even Utah, it has a habit of coming this way if the wind's blowing in just the right direction. And you can see some of those blue arrows. They are headed here. I mentioned this and posted this yesterday. So if this is news to you, please check my Facebook page regularly because I do update my premium members quite often, about 15 to 20 times a day, in fact. You get all sorts of information when you're on premium, but even if you're not a premium member, some of this kind of information is kind of like good to know, right? I wish I knew this, because this could go right into Sunday itself. So not only could you have a spot shower in the Smokies for Father's Day, you could also have poor air quality in some cases if you're very sensitive. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll see how and if that verifies. Temperature right now 70 in Knoxville, 61 Johnson City, 69 in Nashville. I mentioned the fact that temperatures have warmed up pretty nicely this morning. Normal low is 65, and we're running about 5 degrees above that here at this moment. It's 69 in Oak Ridge and 68 Newport. Just checking into the comments. Oh, Marilyn Bell sending me, sorry, very sweet. Marilyn, I think, likes the lower thirds. That's what we call it. It's in the lower third of the screen. Pop up the comment. Fred says, good morning. And if you got a comment on YouTube, I'd love to hear from you. You could be the first YouTube comment for today. Would love to be able to share that as well. I could put you on the screen as well. 64 in Jacksboro right now. It's currently 66 in Athens. Athens hit 90 yesterday, as did Oak Ridge. Now, if you look at the clouds and radar, don't be surprised if our friends in Bowling Green were to get some showers and storms today. But moving south and east of Bowling Green, it's going to be drying up. And you can see partly why we don't have many clouds relative to the thicker clouds in blue. Those are the colder cloud tops. So once the rain, if there is some rain from this front, moves into Bowling Green, it's going to go poof. In many cases, it will fall apart. So I'm not expecting showers and storms here. But again, Smokies may be one exception heading through the Father's Day weekend. Dew point temperatures awfully sticky, 67 Oak Ridge, 66 Madisonville. We kind of covered that. Wind speeds aren't moving much. I believe they're 0. They are. No wind, calm wind where you have 0, and where it might be moving, generally today it'll be coming out of the southwest, 5 to 10. A little bit of fog perhaps from Campbell County. Big shout out to Campbell County, Jacksboro, La Follette. You've got visibility down to 1 mile. Many areas are feeling pretty comfortable as the dew points are beginning to come up into the 60s across many parts of the region. In fact, you follow the humidity, just follow the green ooze. Not follow the bouncing ball, but follow the bouncing green areas because the humidity may ebb and flow between now and 5 o'clock Friday, but it stays with us in the morning on Saturday. There have been some indications that what you see in eastern Kentucky starts to pull the humidity back. And let's see if that trend continues. It does a little bit for the Tri-Cities. That's 12 noon tomorrow, but Knoxville proper, still humid. Tri-Cities, 12 noon tomorrow, maybe not so bad. It might be beginning to pull back. And it does seem to pull back by 5 o'clock. Maybe a brief respite, a little brief period where the humidity may retreat for a few hours, but it will eventually try to come back. And that's 7 o'clock Sunday morning, and there's Father's Day, it comes back. So if we get a little bit of a break, might be well north and east of I-40, maybe northwest of I-81, but generally we're talking about a lot of humidity in place for Sunday, which is Father's Day, and that's also the day expected to be around 95. So some of the hottest air that we've seen in quite some time. I can give you some more numbers here. Last time we hit 90 was September 4th. We hit 91. We did hit 94 in August of last year on the 25th and 27th. So how's that for context? If we hit 95 on Sunday, Father's Day, we never hit 95 last year. Our hottest day was 94. We did it on the 28th of July, and we did it on the 25th, 27th of August. So that's what you get when you take notes, because I can give you some information, some context. That's what I'm here for. Clouds are showing up maybe in the high varieties, just some haze, high thin clouds today. And if you were curious, because I heard it's going to be hot, yes, we're going to have a string of 90s, and everyone's going to say, this month has been so hot. No, it hasn't. We've had 5 days in blue. We've had 5 days this month below normal. So when you start to complain, and I think there's a tendency, we all do that, it's human nature, when it starts getting so hot and you're not a fan of the heat, just remember, it was 76 on June 1st. Well, I don't even remember what I had for lunch a week ago last Tuesday. That's why I have the extended almanac commonly posted on Premium so that you can put this into context, right? Yesterday we hit 89. That was above average. That's why it's shaded in orange. And we hit 86 on Tuesday the 4th. That was above average. Those gray areas would be near average, right? We had 83 Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of last week. So I just want to put it in context. Yes, we're going to be 95 on Sunday, but put it into perspective. Put it in perspective. I think it does help you realize we've had 4 days, 5 days now of below average temperatures, and the pendulum is now swinging in the other direction. Expect 92 today. Triple H's, hazy, hot, and humid. Sun came up at 6:19. It'll be going down now at 8:54. You gotta love it, right? Between now and next Thursday, which is the summer solstice, our days just keep getting longer and longer. And then after Thursday, it starts to reverse, right? It starts to get shorter gradually by seconds, of course. The length of day, even though it's still 24 hours, the length of day starts to get reduced after we go toward, especially as we get toward the winter solstice, which is, of course, in mid to late December. By the way, you can see the 14th of June is marked here on my screen. It is Flag Day. If you got a Jeep out in the driveway, the temperature should be around 79 at 10. And whether or not you have a Jeep or not in the driveway, it should be around 88 at 2 o'clock, so it's going to be getting warm indeed. By the way, I got another note here. Thank you, Wanda. She says, cool air, please come down. Happy Father's Day, David. Thank you, Wanda. She's on YouTube. Thank you very much for your comment. I see Fred says, everyone have a safe and blessed weekend. Go Vols. Big game, 7 o'clock, ESPN. Make sure you watch it if you can. Maybe you have to go to a sports bar. Darlene says, good morning, David. Glad to have Darlene here as we're covering all the bases here. Here's my expectation. It is 6:53. I will be done in 7 minutes or less. We've covered everything from, well, we haven't really talked about tropics yet, but that's next. We talked about the extended almanac. We've talked about dew points and humidity. We've talked about future smoke that could be coming into your future and mine, coming in from places like Salt Lake City and Phoenix. Boy, my goodness. You wouldn't think we had that in common. But if the smoke comes by way of the winds, don't be surprised. Temperature 91 for a high in Morristown. Expect a high of 92 in Knoxville. Now, the National Hurricane Center has not one, not two, but 3 areas of interest. The one that's dropped anywhere from 8 to 12 to as much as 20 inches of rain in South Florida in the last 3, 4, 5 days is now moving off the coast of Florida, and that's why they put a 20% chance. They think it could get a little more momentum. But it's comparable to 40%. This one that's back here, this one's the one to watch. Between now and next Wednesday, Thursday, that's the 19th and 20th. 19th, of course, Juneteenth, federal holiday. This storm is going to blow back a lot of rain from Corpus Christi to Houston. So anyone who's in Houston, take note, even though the center of this circulation may move into Mexico due west, it's going to have a lot of impact as far as rain and heavy rains in parts of southeast Texas. That's my expectation. Now, I want to show you the future rainfall here, because if we zoom in, you can see, look at all the rain that's still yet to come. This is why, in part, the National Hurricane Center has a potential for development. But you might have said, well, why didn't they call it something when it was raining hard? You're not going to get a named storm simply because it's a rainmaker. But in some cases, they did see some tropical rains, absolutely, in South Florida. And they could pick up another 1 to 3 inches, it would appear, just based on the coloring. The 3 inches usually represented in yellow, and there are some heavier rains off the coast. So you make the decision. Is this going to be a good beach weekend? When you got this storm off the coast, you're going to be looking at high surf, perhaps rip currents. All that's possible, and maybe more clouds that you would maybe not want. We are down at the bottom of this graph. Activity for hurricane season picks up around Labor Day. September 10th, historically, is the peak time. It usually really starts to reach a fever pitch in August and September. But we can still have a very active hurricane season in October as well. Many of us know that from history. We know that from our own memory and our own personal experience. But today, we're down there in the bottom. That's where I put the arrow. We're on June 14th. And so we're Flag Day. We're seeing an uptick, perhaps, in activity. Headlines, more heat and humidity in view. Hot for Father's Day. Oh, and some storms are possible on Monday, but only a 30% chance. I would even say that we have potentially a little bit of activity in the Smokies on Father's Day. So camping there, you're traveling through the Smokies, a little isolated shower possible. Carrie says, happy Father's Day to all the dads. Have a fantabulous weekend. Enjoy and spend time with your dad and family. A great reminder that dad loves to be recognized. Oh, and Felicia says, good morning. Today's hand surgery day. Oh, dear. Everyone have a good weekend. Enjoy the weekend. Stay hydrated. Remember today, keep Felicia in your prayers and recovery. And Janet says, getting outside early to water and work on flowers. It's 65 degrees here in Talbot. Happy Flag Day. So happy that you all are here. It is 6:56. We are right now at the airport at 70. Dew point 66. So it may feel a degree or two warmer, but once we really get in the afternoon, low 90s is expected, and it'll feel like it's the mid 90s with the heat index. Average high is now 86. So if we go 6 degrees above normal, which is what I'm projecting, it will take most of the day to get there. So if you're out the door doing errands this morning, you're still in the 70s, but by lunchtime, it could easily be 85 degrees at 12 noon. So that may take some getting used to. Precipitation chances, I have 0 today. I have 0 on Saturday. I mentioned maybe an isolated shower for the Smokies on Sunday, and only a 30% chance on Monday, so it's slim pickings. I think the idea of watering the garden is probably a good idea. Janet Potts, thank you for reminding us. By the way, the Futurecast shows it's not only cool in parts of the far northwest over time, but there's going to be some pockets of cold air in all things relative north of Buffalo. But that stays short of us because we're going to be cooking right through 4 o'clock today. Notice there are some blue arrows that might push the humidity down a bit tomorrow in some parts, but boy, is it just brief and temporary because the heat really pours back here Saturday night, or the humidity, I should say. By Sunday, we're up to 95, so it's going to be a very hot day. You can see the colors there, even at 5,000 feet, very orange and reddish out west, so the hot weather that they're experiencing will be modified as it's here, but it's certainly warm for us. Very hot for us, given the fact that we've been in the 70s for a good part of this time. I want to take you up here. Where's up here? Let me see if I can slide up here. Snow potential. If you are looking for getting on an airplane, I wanted to point to the 2 feet of snow that they are likely to get in parts of western Montana. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this a map you pulled out of like March? No, this is June, my friend. June. And it's also contributing, or has, the cold air to the tornadoes that we've seen much this month. So when you think about it, where you have cold air clashing with warm, humid air, typically meets in the middle. And we had, 66 reports of large hail in northern Minnesota a day or two ago. And now you look at all that snow showing up in western Montana. You need your snow gear. You would not think that in June. You say, I heard that Montana is a pretty place. And it is. I've not been there. But they do call it Big Sky Country for a reason. It's beautiful. But if you're going, take some snow gear. Take your snow boots, because they may very well pick up quite a bit of snow, maybe not just in inches, but also in feet. And you might not think that's even possible, but I'm here to tell you it is. Storm Prediction Center talking about some issues with scattered severe storms today. Thankfully, Omaha is not included. Omaha may get some general thunderstorms, but where the most active weather will be, it's going to be around Denver, Colorado Springs. Rapid City might get some isolated storms back along areas to the northeast, from Allentown, Pennsylvania, to Boston, some scattered severe storms. Columbus, Ohio, Pittsburgh, and D.C., and Philadelphia might see some active weather, more isolated in dark green. They do put us in the crosshairs for thunder. I don't think that's an issue today. But as far as Omaha is concerned, tomorrow is their day. Scattered severe storms possible for College World Series games on Saturday, if there are games that you're watching. Isolated in North Texas. There's also some scattered severe storms north of Bismarck. parts right between Montana. Interestingly enough, the cold air is not far away from there, west of Billings, but they may have severe weather in North Dakota. Meanwhile, Saturday here looks pretty quiet. And it's now 7 o'clock. I may be going a minute late, but I wanted to show you the last map here for the Storm Prediction Center map. Isolated severe storms from Rapid City to Minneapolis, St. Paul. We're looking maybe, I think, some areas in the Smokies. They put it south of I-40 for a potential thunderstorm. I don't think that's much to get excited about. Futurecast shows this area of high pressure parked here. I talked about the thunderstorms hitting Bowling Green. And then it goes poof, right? May have a hard time making it across the state line. As we move into Saturday, it's hazy, hot, and humid. Looks pretty quiet. Heading into Saturday night, also hazy and sticky. And then we slide into Sunday. That's where we might get some convergence. A couple of showers you can see there midday Sunday afternoon. And it might squeeze across the state line from North Carolina and into Tennessee. So we'll keep an eye on that. But again, really, it looks pretty muted. Don't see much in the way of precipitation until possibly Monday, and that's Monday afternoon. That may be overstated at best. So 30% chance is what I anticipate on Monday. Futurecast, I mentioned temperatures in the mid-80s by lunchtime. Oh, yes, every bit. Every bit of the mid-80s today, if you're maybe grabbing a Marcos.com lunch. 89 in Oak Ridge. By the time we hit late in the afternoon, 4 o'clock, there's 92. Ouch. 92 Kingston, temperatures in the low to mid-90s potentially with the heat index. It's going to feel sticky. And then tonight, we'll call it a few clouds to mostly clear. We're going to drop only down to about 67 tonight, and it will take all night to get there, or tomorrow morning, I should say, when we're briefly in the mid to upper 60s, because it will warm up again back to near 90 for the afternoon. So be prepared for that to come to pass. By the way, it's 7:02. We're now to the forecast. 92 today. This is the hottest day since September 4th. That was 284 days ago, if my counting is correct. Hazy, hot, and humid. Winds pick up 5 to 10. If you're in Wartburg, 92. If you're in Crossville, you're in one of the cooler areas, 87. I have Sevierville, Pigeon Forge today at 89, and Greenville at 89 degrees. But it's hot like a firecracker. Nashville, Chattanooga, they'll be at 95 today. And that's where temperatures are going to be out west. 94 Memphis. Traveling today, 91 for the Tri-Cities. Tonight we're down to 69, I should say, for temperature tonight. Few clouds, mostly clear and sticky. It is going to be a little humid, I would say, at a minimum. 66 in Kingston. I got 67 for Oak Ridge, and La Follette, 65 for Sevierville. Here's your Captain Accurate Weather Authority forecast for Flag Day. 90 tomorrow, and that may be coming up depending on if we get some drop in the humidity. Our temperatures may come down as well, but right now, hottest day of the week still is Sunday, Father's Day itself. Showers and storms only 30% chance on Monday, and we keep the 90s in place. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's the time, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that they really need to keep an eye on that storm that's potentially near Houston, because it might move through Mexico, but it's going to be such a large system. It's going to bring in bands of rain in southeast sections of Texas. The Lone Star State needs to watch that storm that might get a name here coming up in the next few days. By the way, thankful for you. I know I've run a little bit long. It's 7:03. I hope you have a great weekend. Don't forget dear old Dad. He loves to be recognized too. In any way, maybe a cool, tall glass of iced tea for Dad on Sunday. Well, my name is David Aldridge. Some people call me Captain Accurate. It's not easy being accurate, so weather doesn't surprise you. We'll see you here next time. Take care.